The mile-high city of Denver, Colorado, known for their craft beer and their ski resorts that are not far behind. They welcome in Dak Prescott and the Dallas Cowboys to Empower Field at Mile High, where there are reminders that elevation sickness is a real thing. 52,000 or 5,280. Oh man, yeah. 52,000. Not that far up in the air. 5,200 feet above sea level, and even if you multiply 5,280 by 2, you still wouldn't reach the amount of days it's been since the Dallas Cowboys have last defeated the Denver Broncos back in 1995. 11,004 days ago to the day. Nate Newton was on that roster, and now he's in our pregame studios here at the Star in Frisco with Isaiah Stanback, Barry Church. Nate, I'm Kyle Yeomans. Glad you're with us. And gentlemen, it's a unique challenge that we'll go into further because of the elevation, but also because of the team on the other side. A 5-2 record for the Denver Broncos. They lead the AFC West this season, and for the most part, this is one of the tougher challenges that the Cowboys have had. And it's on the road. The Cowboys this year have had their ups and downs already. Of course, they played really well against the Eagles in Week 1, but fell late in that matchup on the night that the Eagles raised the Super Bowl banner. Then they fell flat on their face against the Bears in Week 3. So that one didn't go their way, but this one did against the Jets in Week 5, 37-22. At that point in time, their most complete win of the season. And then 1 week later in back-to-back road games, they fall to the Panthers when they give up over 200 scrimmage yards to former Cowboys running back Rico Dowdle. So 1-3 on the road this season. How do they improve what they do away from AT&T Stadium?
Well, they can improve by stop playing the game of Pong. I don't know about those that know a little something about, Atari back in the day. But they got to win a game, right? They got to win a game in order to start a streak, and they have to take care of the ball to start it off. They've been doing a relatively good job of doing that. Dak has secured the ball. I think he's 16 touchdowns, 3 interceptions on the year, so he's doing his thing. Javonte Williams is doing his thing. I believe in Javonte. I don't know if you do, but I definitely do. And defensively, last week was a heck of a start to change up in terms of what Matt Eberflus has been doing this year. They got up, played a little bit of man, got some turnovers. Let's have more of that.
Yeah, to me, to have, success on the road, I think you need two things. One, you need a running game. Check with Javonte Williams, your boy, the juggernaut. He's been doing his thing, toting the rock so far this season for the Dallas Cowboys. But you also need a defense that travels, and that's the one thing the Dallas Cowboys have yet to see this season. I'm not saying they need to be the 2000 Ravens or that 2017 Jacksonville Jaguars defense, but they need to be sustainable out there. And if they can show up like they did last week against the Commanders, that's all you need, a middle-of-the-road defense, because your offense is that superpowered.
I'm going to piggyback that one for his defense. Not only do you need to play a good game, you need to tackle better, and you need to stop the run. Offensively, you have to stay on the run. You have to make sure that it's a force against these Denver Broncos.
Yeah, you got to find a way to control the line of scrimmage and continue doing what you have done for Dak Prescott, and that's give him time to throw, because Dak has been nearly perfect over the last 4 games. 4 straight games where he's had at least 3 passing touchdowns and 0 interceptions. It's the second longest streak in the NFL since the merger back in 1970. The only quarterback to have a longer streak was Russell Wilson with the Seahawks back in 2015. The way he's been playing throughout this season, guys, is just another level. His best football by far. But Barry Church, as a former defender yourself and a former teammate of Dak's, is he playing like the best quarterback in the NFL right now?
To me, there's no question. There's no question at all that Dak Prescott is playing the best quarterback in the National Football League right now. It seems like no matter what defenses throw at him, blitzing, zone coverage, man-to-man, no matter what the occasion, he always has an answer for that. And when you look at it, it's not like he's just singling out CeeDee Lamb or singling out George Pickens. Yeah. He's distributing the football to everyone. I mean, there's multiple games where more than 5 players have got caught in the pass from Dak Prescott out there. So he's not turning the football over. He's getting points for his offense. And to me, that's the formula for a successful play as a quarterback.
You know what the formula is?
What's that?
Having a juggernaut behind you.
There it is.
We know that Dak Prescott is the most efficient play-action quarterback in the game. This dude is throwing for 80% when he's able to go out there and have a play-action. But in order to have a play-action game, you have to have an effective running game. So having Javonte Williams have the success that he's had this year is having a tremendous impact on Dak, which allows for him to go out there and distribute the ball to anybody who's open instead of predetermining. And yes, CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens helps with that.
CeeDee Lamb, George Pickens, you said, Isaiah, this is the reason Dak is able to make good decisions. He can look out there and make a pre-read that he can possibly stay with. That juggernaut in the back, Javonte Williams, 40 times this week so Dak can continue to look good.
And we've been together on this show since 2020, and we've always talked about it. Whenever Dak is coming off of a healthy offseason, he tends to get better because he just sees the game differently. And as long as the body holds up, he's going to throw the football from a mental standpoint at a high level. And he's got both working in his favor right now. In great shape, playing the game at a high level. And that's why he's one of the front runners for the MVP award so far this season. Now, he also gets some help from his defense last week. Let's see if he can continue that this week. Matt Eberflus early in the week about what they changed on the defensive side of the ball and how they can continue that against the Broncos today.
Last week, we played more man-to-man because it was the right thing to do, and but obviously when you can do that, you're tighter in windows and stuff like that. We've done it some more on third down as of late, but the guys did a nice job of executing. It's important that we go forward, that we have multiple things in our package that we can do, pressures and man pressures, zone pressures, and all the like. But guys did a good job of executing. Pressure comes in a lot of ways, right? It's 4-man, 5-man, and extra overloads, and I think that you have to have that in your package. And it's important to be able to mix it up. You can't keep doing the same thing over and over again. You got to be able to mix it up, and I think the guys did a good job of that. So they learn a ton of information fast. It's a smart group. So you're able to do that. So I'm excited about this week too.
Coach Eberflus talking about running zone for the majority of the first 6 weeks of the season. Even in week 6 against Carolina, the Cowboys ran 12% man coverage. It was 88% zone. Then this past week in the win against Washington, they run man defense on 47% of the time. So that discrepancy is there, and it mixes things up. But, Barry, what did you like most about what the defense showed against Washington last week?
Exactly what Coach Flus was talking about, just mixing it up and putting a little bit more man coverage out there. This coverage in the back end for the Dallas Cowboys was extremely sticky. Even when the Washington Commanders were able to complete passes, you saw those defensive backs right in the hip pocket of those wide receivers, making those passes contested. And that's what you need. You don't want guys running scot-free like we've seen the first couple weeks of the season, where there's 10-yard separation between them and the nearest defensive back. Those guys were sticky in coverage, and I love what I saw from the pass rush. Club 42 member Davion Clowney went out there, got him a sack. Donovan Ezra, who got his first sack as a Dallas Cowboy. So the pass rush and the secondary work together. That's what you love to see from a Flus defense.
They work hand in hand together, and what you saw last week, to Barry's point, is they played man-to-man. That means they got up to the line of scrimmage and was able to put some hands on somebody, was able to bless them on this beautiful Sunday. So what they were doing prior to that was they were playing 6-8 yards off sometimes on third and short situations. It didn't make a lot of sense to us that know the game of ball. So we love seeing those guys come up to the line of scrimmage and make it a little bit disruption at the line for those receivers coming off the ball. And at the defensive line position, Coach Matt Eberflus had his 4-down linemen, plus he was sending an additional guy, putting a lot of stress on the offensive line and the running backs to try to stay home to try to get some blocks.
Kyle, what was the question again?
The question was, what did you like about the defense and what they did last week that was different from Coach Eberflus?
The simple thing that they did that they haven't done in the past weeks is they tackled. They tackled for no gain. They hit guys and knocked them back. That's as simple as that. If they tackle this week, 15% better on the run, they will have success.
There you go. So, again, controlling the line of scrimmage. Yes. You can see where Nate's emphasis is early on.
And they're going to have plenty of opportunities today because there's going to be at least 10 doggone screenplays read.
Oh, yeah. You ain't lying.
You know Sean Payton's going to get the screen game going as much as possible. Let's make our first pass attempt. Let's get it out to Empower Field at Mile High in Denver, Colorado, where Nick Eatman is on the sideline. And, Nick, the elevation is certainly a thing, 5,280 feet in the air. You see it everywhere. It's plastered all over that stadium. How is the elevation going to affect things today?
Well, I mean, it just depends on who you ask. I mean, if you ask like some of the trainers and doctors, they'd say, no, it's mental, don't worry about it. You ask the players, that might be drinking a lot more water and stuff during the game. I mean, honestly, and you guys that are there have played in these conditions that could probably speak to it better than anyone. But, I think it's all about hydration and, just making sure that you catch your breath when you can. Again, there's certain people that say it's not a big deal. Certain people say after a quarter or so you get used to it. But, and that's fine. You just don't want to be down 14-0 when you get used to it.
Nicholas, my question to you is, what does this defense have to do to win the game?
To win the game, I think they have to do what we saw last week. Now, pick six is like, a cherry on top. But the turnovers, we saw one couple of weeks ago, another one a few weeks ago, 2 last week. The sacks, the stops. It's just the combination of, and you guys said it best. I mean, I'm going to steal with what I just heard, though, because it's true. Tackle. I mean, you got guys that Leofau, Shamar James, these guys fly to the football. Cool. Get the guy down. I mean, and that's going to be the key. And Bo Nix is another guy in that mix because he's a guy that will definitely take off and run. And it's 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9. Next thing you know, here he's running for 15 yards and moving the chains. That's where the Cowboys have to make sure they get off the field on 3rd down.
Nick, what's going down, man? So we know the Broncos have, one of the best pass rush units in the National Football League. I believe they have 34 sacks on the season so far. What is the Dallas Cowboys offense going to have to do to have success against this vaunted pass rush for the Denver Broncos?
On the flip side, break tackles, and that means Javante's runs that are right at the line of scrimmage, break some tackles, and make that 2nd and 9 really a 2nd and 5. The quick passes to Pickens, the quick passes to CeeDee Lamb. They're going to get the ball out quick, but do they break a tackle? Do they make moves and not just have, keep it in 2nd and long? What they're going to have, they're going to get the ball out quick. We know that. But do they make moves in the open field, get that yak up, things like that can extend the drives and also keep them out of 3rd and long situations?
Nick, I am going to stay with the pass rush of the Denver Broncos. These guys get in the backfield in a quick way. Tyler Guyton over there at the left tackle position, I believe he's going to be on the field today, starting at that left tackle. Is this the toughest matchup against Nick Bonitto that he has had since facing Myles Garrett in his opening start in his career and facing Michael Parsons some weeks back? Is this the 3rd biggest matchup he's had?
You keep changing the question on me because I was like, no, Myles Garrett. No, wait, Micah. Okay, maybe so at this point. Yeah, I mean, it's another one for him. And, last year, he went up again on the road against T.J. Watt, Nick Bosa, and obviously, like you said, Myles Garrett in his first game. Rookie Tyler Guyton's different than second-year Guyton. So for this year, I think he's a lot more experienced. He should be. He sees it. He's playing with a little bit more confidence and tenacity. But here, in the matchup that you just mentioned, plus with the elements, the sound, how tough it's going to be out there kind of on an island. It's harder to hear. Yeah, it's going to be a huge matchup for to protect Dak's blind side, and I think it's one of the biggest ones we've seen for him in his young career.
And also trying to run the football as well. Of course, we know this is Javonte Williams' return to Denver. What can we expect from Williams, who has really downplayed it throughout the week, but of course has some emotions going back to Mile High?
Yeah, liar. He's over here saying it doesn't matter. It's just another game. And then he smiles at you. It's not another game, and it can't be. This is a place where he was drafted here. He's played here. He's played well here, and they love him. Here it just didn't work out injury-wise, free agency. That's kind of the way it goes. It's similar to like Jordan Lewis with the Cowboys. Everybody loved him, but it's time to move on and start with a new opportunity. And so he's got it here in Dallas. I think. Remember, he fumbled early in that Bears game back in Week 3. After that, man, he ran pissed off. I don't know if it's going to be the same type of level, but we know when he really wants to lock it down and run the football, he runs really violently. I think that we're going to see that kind of Javonte Williams today.
I like it, Nick. You pulled your best Ron Burgundy impression. You said, I don't believe you, Javonte Williams. I don't believe you. Nick Eatman on the sideline in Mile High. Appreciate you as always, Nick. We'll catch up with you again next week. Of course, the Cowboys taking on the Denver Broncos. They have not won in Denver since 1995. And with a little bit more on that, we're going to turn things over to Brandon Aubrey for our Cowboys pregame live trivia question of the week, followed by a little media mashup.
Today's trivia question is, who scored the Cowboys' last touchdown in Denver?
Can we get the official pronunciation of your first name, and if you got a nickname as well?
I go by Quiz, but the right pronunciation is Tri-Quiz.
Correctly.
Yes, sir.
You feel like more people are going to be knowing how to say your name correctly?
I hope that's a plan. That's a plan.
Being mic'd up excites you or makes you nervous? I honestly forgot I was mic'd up, to be honest. But after I seen the clips and stuff like that, I feel like it was super fun. It was super good engagement for the fans.
Nice try, buddy. Then on the ground, I said, yo, little ass, you a He's like, what the fuck, get on me. And then I started flopping, try to get up the car.
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good. Obviously, kind of working through some aches and stuff, getting back in the groove. Realistically, based on how I feel tomorrow, we're going to see if I can go this week. If not, for sure next week.
What's it been like watching from the sideline? I mean, I don't know when the last time you were hurt. I mean, it's been a weird experience, a learning experience.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely been weird. I mean, especially like, day to day, I'm in there for, 6-7 hours out of my day, away from the guys. So it's definitely weird. And, especially the away games, watching from home was such a different experience. And, obviously, they have all the, hot mics on Dak, so I know every call that's coming when I'm watching from home. So it's a little weird that way, but, I'm just glad to be back with the guys and getting after it.
Good to hear from Cooper Beebe this week. He's possibly going to be blocking for Javonte Williams again after missing the last few games. And, of course, from his time in Denver in his final season in 2024, through his first 5 games, very comparable as a Dallas Cowboy. That's how good Javonte Williams has been for Dallas in his first season with the star on the side of his helmet. And it's much to the chagrin of what Coach Schottenheimer has done or has wanted from the run game throughout the year, so much so that he has Schottenheimer quoting Sir Mix-a-Lot. What?
Just the suddenness, the ability to jump cut, the way he would run through contact, yards after contact to me is a big thing for running backs. I like big backs, I really do. I think it's that type of league right now with how everything is, played and physical, and but you do see a guy that creates explosives, and I think why does he do that? Because he doesn't hesitate, and it jumped off the film, it wasn't, again, something that they felt like, but we knew it was something that we wanted to add to our team.
Patrick.
I caught it. Yeah. I actually started to sing the rap song. I got it. Yeah, Sir Mix-a-Lot. I like big backs. Oh, some people just got it. In the back.
Yeah, we were all thinking it, Shotty. We were certainly all thinking it. I wish you guys could have seen Barry Church's face when I said that a second ago. He was like, "What are you talking about? Sir Mix-a-Lot?" And then as soon as he said it, Barry just slyly goes,
Yeah,
right over there.
That's why he's good.
No, it was Schottenheimer's quote, though. He was the one that brought it up, and then, of course, in the press conference, the media got there too.
I was unfamiliar with your game, Coach Schotty.
It was an awesome quote, one of the best of the year. But I mean, Javonte Williams really has become what you guys nicknamed him in week 1 or 2 of the season, a juggernaut for this Cowboys team, Isaiah.
Absolutely, and that's the style of offense that these guys would like to have. Let's talk about zone scheme offensively. Your tackles and your guards working together, your tackles and your tight ends working together, combo blocks work up to the next level, and allowing your running backs to be one-cut guys. You don't need these breakout guys. We talked about this all summer long, and everybody's like, "Oh, you need a big number 1 back. You need to go trade for somebody. You need to go draft a high running back." No, you don't. You need a running back that's a one-cut guy that can get downhill. Very much so, talking about Denver Broncos, like Terrell Davis. Yes. That's what he was. He was a big, powerful back that made one cut, stretch, foot in the ground, get vertical, and run over the next man that decides to step up in the hole.
Yeah, he's been balling. And as I look at the lower third right there, can he maintain this level of production? There's no question in my mind that he can maintain his level of production with the Dallas Cowboys. When you look at it offensively, you got 2 juggernauts themselves on the outside at receiver. So on the defensive side, you're in a conundrum. Do you bring that safety down and try to, slow down Javonte Williams, or do you leave him back in the back and try to minimize those explosive plays from those wide receivers? And what we've seen, defenses kind of stayed back, and Javonte has been going crazy. And not only that, he's been doing it with who knows how many different offensive linemen in rotation on that unit. So there's no doubt in my mind that he can continue this high level of production.
He's a good back. He's a solid back. He stays on the track. I mean, he gets on the track and he lines up and he sets his offensive lineman up for great blocks to be able to come off into that second level in the linebacker. But I just want them to use him maybe 6 to 7 more snaps per game, especially when they go on the road.
Nate, I have to ask you real quick, because you had one heck of a career and you had one heck of a running back that you blocked for in Emmitt Smith. What does it do for you as an offensive lineman to know that you have a running back with that ability in the backfield?
Everything. I mean, it makes you work a little bit harder, stay a little bit level with your back, everything. Get your hands inside. You want everything to be right. Take your proper step because you know Emmett going to be on the track. And, all he needs is that one cut or that one move, and he can take it. He has the possibility to take it to the house. So I like what this kid is doing.
Let me turn that question back to you, though. As a former quarterback yourself, what does it do for you?
It takes a lot of stress off you because as a quarterback, oftentimes you think that you have to always make the right play every single time or make the next big play. But when you could turn around and hand the ball off to your running back and next you know it's 2nd and 4, the entire playbook's open. I'm not worried about these 10 and 12-yard plays that we have to convert on and I have to sit back and hold the ball and allow the pass rush to get to me. Now I can take the swing right. I can take the dump. I can take the easy pass to Mr. 5 and under Jake Ferguson. I can do those things to keep the chains moving because I have a back that's going to make me right.
You're going to stop taking shots. You're going to stop.
He's the best tight end in the league right now. What are we talking about?
And we're gonna talk more about Jake Ferguson in a little bit because Javonte Williams isn't the only weapon that Dak Prescott has to throw the football to right now, and neither is Jake Ferguson. Look at these three guys and what they've done throughout the season. George Pickens, CeeDee Lamb, Jake Ferguson. My goodness, this trio has become feared among NFL defenses across the board, especially through the first 7 weeks of the season. Let's take a look at what they've done in terms of route charts this year. Here's George Pickens compared to CeeDee Lamb. And, of course, CeeDee Lamb last week, of course, you look at what they did kind of underneath everything. Then you look at what George Pickens did down the field a couple different times in the fold. Down the field, he's been a deep ball threat as well for this Cowboys team. But what have they done throughout the season, Barry, that has really taken them to the next level?
They've made things hard for defenses when you look at it out there. Before, in years past, it was simply, let's double team CeeDee Lamb. Let's take CeeDee Lamb out the game and let's see what this offense can do without the likes of 88. But when you got George Pickens out there, you got CeeDee Lamb, you got Ferguson, you can't double everybody. And that's a nightmare for defensive coordinators because when you're looking at an offense as explosive as that, you sit there and to yourself and say, well, who do we want to take away? It's like picking your poison out there. You take away Pickens, CeeDee Lamb's going to go crazy. You try to play over the top, then you got your linebackers dealing with Ferguson. It's a conundrum for defenses out there for sure.
I want to know how Nate got into the pre-production meeting and took out the route tree for Jake Ferguson. We saw what CeeDee Lamb and with CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens was running. We want to see what Jake Ferguson's routes look like.
He's running 6 touchdowns,
exactly.
2 per game.
Listen,
almost.
We love some Jake Ferguson, just like we love. Let me see it. Let me see. Throw it up on the screen.
Oh,
there it is, right there. Mr. 5 yards. I love it. Listen, we will take those 5 yards and we will raise you 6 touchdowns. Okay,
hey,
that's what we'll do.
There's one where he's beyond 5 yards down the field. Look at that one over the middle. And he had some yards after the catch, too.
Let's say 7 receptions for 29 yards.
It's about, gentlemen, it's about playing your role.
That's right.
And thriving in your role.
Yeah.
Jake Ferguson knows his role. He's a part of the run game. He extends pass plays when it's a 3rd and 5, a 3rd and 6. He is your guy. When they're doubling these 2 guys on the outside, he is your guy. He does what is necessary. That's what keeps the world moving.
Hey, listen, nobody's arguing that. It's hard to defend, Barry. Is it hard to defend routes that are run at the line of scrimmage? That's all I'm saying. It's very difficult to defend those. They catch at the line of scrimmage. They run for 5 or 6 yards. All we care about, Jake, continue catching the ball. You've caught 51 passes this year, and you scored 6 touchdowns. We don't care how you get the ball. Just keep doing what you're doing.
If you are new to this show, this is nothing new. Isaiah calls Jake Ferguson Mr. 5-yard catch. And then, of course, Nate Newton's always loved Jake Ferguson. But I know a ton of fantasy football players that are out there that love those 2 touchdowns in the PPR and what Jake Ferguson is doing. Keep doing what you're doing, 8-7. Don't worry about what Isaiah is saying.
I love you.
It is a part of this offense. So is George Pickens. Coach Schottenheimer very happy from what he's seen from GP this season.
He's a tremendous weapon because of his size. He's a guy that if you're not combative with down the field, he's almost impossible to cover on those 50-50 throws. I think there's huge momentum swings for us when that happens. I know I feel that way. You know, you throw a go ball down there and he catches it, you're excited. But if he doesn't catch it and you see a flag, you're just as excited because it's normally going to be a PI penalty and not an illegal contact penalty.
116 yards drawn on pass interference penalties by George Pickens this year. Nate, that's a lot of yardage that won't go to his box score, but it's still a huge impact for this offense.
It is, because this guy runs routes in a funny way. You know, he has his own rhythm. You've had a few basketball players that play at their own rhythm. This guy plays at his own rhythm, and he has this knack of throwing his hands out at the last second to catch a ball. I mean, Barry can explain how DBs play wide receivers.
Yeah, he has a real good knack for that when you talk about wide receivers putting their hands out late. Because as a defensive back, if you're in trail mode, and that's when, you know, you're a yard behind the wide receiver and they're throwing a deep ball, you know, you got to run with the wide receiver, but you're taught when that receiver puts his hands out, that's when the defensive back is going in there to break the basket or break up the pass. But what Pickens does a great job of is he puts his hands out at the very last second. I'm talking about that football is right by his helmet, and boom, here come those hands. So as a defensive back, you see the hands that late, you see him not come up at all, you start to panicking, you start to grabbing, oh, where's this football at? I got to make a play on it. And Pickens is, you know, hands late, calls a PI penalty right there. It's tough. It's extremely tough.
And I'll add to that, the reason why that's so difficult for defensive backs is because, one, he's getting on top, right? That means he's beating the defensive back by at least a yard. So he's getting beyond the defense of secondary. Number two, DBs watch your eyes. Last time I checked, he wears a visor.
He does, and
so
dark.
In dark visor. So you can't see his eyes, meaning that most receivers' eyes get big when the ball is coming. You can't see his eyes. So that's one indicator that's taken away from the defensive backs. And then he throws his hands late. If you can't see their eyes, you're looking for their hands so that you can get your eyes back when their hands go out so that you can avoid the PI penalty. So he's doing all those things. He's getting beyond the DBs. You can't see his eyes, and he's throwing his hands late. They have no indication as to when the ball's coming, and he's beating them over the top.
So what you're saying is there's no real blueprint to guard this guy whatsoever.
Don't let him get beyond you.
Whenever it comes to George Pickens, you got to win at the line of scrimmage.
Absolutely.
You got to win early, and if you don't win, you better turn around and run.
Yep.
Get after him.
Get on your horse.
Speed and the deep threat ability. It's a little different when you're guarding Jake Ferguson because most of it's going to be in front and where he's been. But the receptions have started to grow throughout the season. Jake Ferguson, throughout the first 7 weeks of the year, top 4 in the NFL when it comes to most receptions. Of course, the top of the leaderboard belongs to Jamar Chase for the Cincinnati Bengals, followed closely by Puka Nacua, who has missed some time, but he's still number 2 on that list. And then it's a running back. How about the year so far for Christian McCaffrey? And then the number 1 tight end on that list, Jake Ferguson, and what he has done this year has been truly historic in that position for the Cowboys. Nate, what has been his secret sauce this season whenever it comes to having some success on the NFL side of things?
He's a dual threat tight end. He can block well versus the run. He can help pass block. He sets some guys. That's why he's late a lot of times getting out into his route. And he's a safety net for Dak. Dakota Rain, as we call him.
Yeah, he's become that security blanket. As you like to call him, the chain mover out there when things get a little hectic. You know, you're going to see Jake Ferguson right over the football, good 5 yards right there, catch the ball. And he's going to get down. But he's also become that red zone threat. I mean, 6 touchdowns out there. You know, that's nothing to sneeze at. He's become that guy in the red zone that Dak Prescott loves to get to. The one thing I would love to see from Jake Ferguson in his Dak connection here, I'd love to see them threaten the seams. I mean, that's what we saw from Jake Ferguson a couple years ago. He was that seam guy that kind of stretched the defense out. He still has that ability, and that's the one thing I'd love to see them incorporate into this offense. But so far, he's been that security blanket and that red zone threat.
Well, Barry, talking about the seams, they actually missed on a couple seam routes early in the season. The first 2 or 3 weeks of the season, Jake Ferguson was actually open, beating the middle Tampa 2 linebacker, and Dak underthrew him. Since then, they've reverted back to the running game, and because of the running game, the reason why I'm calling him Mr. 5 yards is because he is the first read off of a bootleg for Dak Prescott. The tight end usually blocks the end man on the line of scrimmage down. He comes across, and he gets back towards the sideline. Usually he's Johnny on the spot. Dak can throw the ball to him right there at the line of scrimmage. Under 5 yards, he gets it, and he goes and gets another 5 or 6 yards. That's what he does best right now. And then in the red zone, you forget, oh, he's not just Mr. 5 yards. He can actually get in the end zone. So that's why he's such a threat, because it's really difficult to defend. I make jokes of it. It's difficult to defend routes that are that low. That's below the coverage. Linebackers play 5 to 8 yards deep. The secondary is going to play all the way down the field. There's nobody guarding him underneath. So get the ball to him. It's a high-precision pass. That's why Dak's over 80% on terms of completion off play action.
Cowboys number 1 total yards in the NFL on the offensive side of the ball, and they're tied for second in touchdowns scored this year for this offense. It's all based off of a couple of additions with George Pickens, Javonte Williams, and then getting Jake Ferguson back in the fold has been huge. Let's get back out to Empower Field at Mile High, where Tommy Yorish is joined by Stephen Jones.
All right, welcome to Denver. Tommy Arish here with Cowboys COO and co-owner Stephen Jones. Stephen, thanks for making some time. You guys made the decision to put Trayvon Diggs on IR yesterday. Is the team looking at that as more of a 4 games then get him back, or could it potentially be more severe, maybe season injury?
No, we look at it more 4 games. I think, the biggest thing with him was, just getting him to where he can practice day in and day out. He's had 2 previous knee injuries that were significant. And, they creep up on him during the week and bother him. And we just felt between the concussion and the knees that we just needed to, get him the opportunity to get to be 100%. And then, then I think he can really be helpful to us.
And speaking of day-by-day practices, one guy I know you're excited to have back on the practice field is DeMarvion Overshown. What have you seen from him early on in these practices? And then he told the media that Las Vegas game after the bye week is probably the date he's projecting to go and play. Is that about what you guys are thinking as well?
Well, he and Revel both looked outstanding this week. It was great to see him out there. I did see where he said Vegas was his target, and I think our guys don't disagree with that, barring something unforeseen. He flew around out there great, and got a couple more weeks, including the bye, to get prepared, and I think that's very realistic for him to be back by Vegas.
And then in this game specifically, you guys have the league's best offense, and you're going up against a unit that leads the league in sacks. How exciting is it to have this kind of matchup, and how much of a litmus test do you get of, okay, the offense has been hot, but, man, if they can get this one, they really are hot.
Yeah, this is a big, big game for everybody. I know it's a big game for them. Certainly the best thing they do is rush the passer. I think Dak looks forward to the challenge of getting the ball out and in the right hands on our offense. But, this is a big test for us, and obviously we need to go out and play well and, continue to build on the improvement we're having on the defensive side of the ball. We need to build on that. We need to go out and consistently execute, and this will be a great opportunity, a great challenge. Going against Sean Payton, and the offensive mind he has is special, so we'll have our work cut out for us, but we certainly welcome the challenge.
And Jerry was clear about the respect that you and the organization have for Sean. What do you want to see from your defense today? You're down your starting safeties, you're down Trayvon. What do they need to show you today that, obviously coming off of last week where they had one of their better performances of the year?
Well, I think the one thing we did already this week is we built on that. We had good practices, which we had good practices the week before, and that led to success. And I think we got to do that again. We got to go out there and be consistent, and we got to execute the defense, and I think good things will happen to us.
Stephen Jones, thanks for the time, sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Right behind them this past week, a number of different comebacks have happened throughout the season. But what about the one last week, week 7? 19-0 the New York Giants led going into the fourth quarter of that football game. Bo Nix and the Broncos put up 33 points in the final frame to win that. That's the most points scored by any team in NFL history when they were shut out through the first 3 frames. And, of course, the Giants weren't the only team that the Broncos have put together a comeback with, and they did earlier in the season with the Philadelphia Eagles. So with all of that being said, there are some weapons on this Broncos team. They're leading the AFC West at a 5-2 record. What has made them special in the AFC to start the season?
Well, Sean Payton. Let's just put it like that. Sean Payton, and he has a quarterback that's smart. You got Bo Nix, who's been around for a long time, not necessarily in the NFL, but he had a 20-year college career. So he has a lot of experience in terms of game experience. But the thing is, what happened last week against the Giants, they struggled through the first 3 quarters. The Giants were playing man-to-man coverage. Their defensive line was getting pressure and making it very difficult on Bo Nix. It wasn't until the fourth quarter that the Giants actually backed off in coverage, kind of took their foot off the gas, and started playing zone. Yeah. And once they started playing zone, that Sean Payton offense was able to take advantage of what they were doing. And it was too late to try to put your foot back on the gas. So I think if Dallas does what the Giants did last week and what we did well last week by playing man, you're going to make life really difficult for Sean Payton's little screen game offense and them trying to hold the ball and get the ball down the field.
Yeah, so to me, I love what Sean Payton and Bo Nix and they have done offensively, but to me, the catalyst of this team so far has got to be that defensive line and the way they're able to affect the quarterback. I mean, 34 sacks on the season so far for the Denver Broncos. That's outstanding. And to me, the quarterback position is the most important position in the National Football League. And if you can affect the opposer's quarterback and you can make them, rattled in the back end and, commit turnovers, that's how you win ball games. In Denver, they do it better than anybody so far in the league this year.
They run the ball. They're going to run the ball, and that's why Bo Nix is who he is, and he's able to run around free like that because you're going to take 2 steps to stop the run, and that gives them a chance to look at his wide receivers on the play-action pass. And if they're not there, he's just athletic enough to keep going, and they're going to play hard for Sean Payton.
Denver leading the league, just to Barry's point, leading the league in sacks, quarterback pressures, pressure percentage, and quarterback hits this year. Yeah. It's the best pass rush in the NFL right now, and it's not even really close. The film backs it up, too. You see guys like Nick Bonino and guys step up in a big way. But let's talk about players to watch specifically. Barry, I'll start with you. Who do you have your eye on?
Well, I just talked about the trenches and all that good stuff, but I always got to keep my eyes in the secondary. And for me, it's that man right on your screen, Patrick Surtain. He's one of the best, if not the best, corner in the National Football League. He got a big-time test this week. You got CeeDee Lamb, you got George Pickens on one side. Who are they going to tell him to, go cover? I believe if I was a part of the Denver Broncos defense, I'm over there saying, you know what, lock up George Pickens and we're going to double CeeDee Lamb on the other side. But that's a guy in a matchup you have got to keep your eyes on this afternoon.
Does that mean you think he travels this week?
I believe so. If it's me, I'm putting him on Pickens and I'm saying you go to the bathroom with him, you go over to the locker room. It don't matter where you go, but you traveling with George Pickens this week. It's going to be a heck of a matchup either way.
What do you think, Nate?
For me, it's number 93, DJ Jones. You don't hear about this guy. He's 6 foot, 305 pounds. But I'm telling you, Brother Hoffman, lock it up on run plays because he will get in the middle of your chest. He will control you. And all they're looking to do, if they're running to the inner side of him, is to make that running back hesitate. And these other guys are coming like killer bees. So be on board this week to stop number 93.
Whew. Tyler Guyton.
He doesn't play for the Broncos.
No, he doesn't. But in the words of Rico Dowdle, you need to buckle up because Nick Bonito, the outside linebacker in this 3-4 defense, he is an absolute problem. This is somebody I watched the film over and over and over. Every sack that they've actually had all season long. By the time your quarterback receives the ball out of the shotgun, gets his back foot down, and starts surveying the defense, this dude is 4 yards deep in the backfield. He is a problem. You're going to need to provide help for Tyler Guyton. I don't care where he was drafted at. I don't care how good you feel about him. Do not put Tyler Guyton on an island with this young man right here. He can cause issues.
That is why the run game is so important. I've watched that same thing. They got to do Nate Jonathan Cooper, so still you ain't going to have a day off either. Nope. So that's why I say, Kyle, that the run game is so important this week.
Yeah, absolutely. And, Denver, throughout their successful years, have always had those high-level pass rushers. Von Miller, DeMarcus Ware, who, of course, played with the Dallas Cowboys for quite some time as well. We actually had a chance to catch up with D. Ware this week. Of course, the elevation going to play a factor. They're not necessarily playing at Red Rocks Amphitheater just outside of Denver. They're playing at Mile High, in the Mile High elevation. Christy Scales, Cowboys sideline reporter from the Cowboys Radio Network, caught up with D. Ware about that challenge.
Guys, there's no one better to ask that question about the advantage of the altitude playing in Denver than the only Cowboy Ring of Honor member and Hall of Famer who has hoisted a Super Bowl trophy as a member of the Denver Broncos. So DeMarcus, Nate Newton, Barry Church, and Isaiah Stanback wanted to know what kind of advantage, if there is one, playing in altitude.
It is a really big advantage for the Denver Broncos and any team that when they come up there, it's a challenge because it's almost like the teams that come in, they deplete them early. And so what we did every single practice is we did speedball. So we'll do a 2-minute drill before every practice. And that sort of gets your blood levels in a way to where you get used to that first punch. And as you know that a lot of guys, when they play up there in Denver, they're not used to that first punch. So when they first get up there, there's going to be 12 plays that are going to be like 2 minutes. That depletes your whole cellular level of oxygen, and you can't replenish it. And so now you're playing the game tired the whole time, and guess what? We're used to it. So for me, a recommendation for the Dallas Cowboys, if you guys want an advantage or whatever, you would practice a little bit more speedball for conditioning. The speed and the reaction of the plays during a 2-minute drill to make sure that now you don't get that initial hit and you're used to it before you go up there and play in those high altitudes. Because if your body's not ready for it, as you have seen the guys with the bloody noses and the oxygen tanks, all that's real. Okay, it's real, and we practice for that to make the teams do that. So start practicing and running a little bit more to get your endurance up, because you can be at sea level, and I used to be able to practice play about 25 plays, but in Denver, my max plays playing up there for 3 years was about 14. That was it, and I was conditioned for it. So make sure you get them 2s and 3s ready and get a good rotation and get them going.
Hey, we appreciate it. Thanks a lot, DeMarcus.
Oh, yeah.
Denver, Colorado, known for its elevation, and of course, being in the mountains is one thing, but having to play in the mountains is another thing. Barry, you never got a chance to play at high elevation.
No.
However, you spent a lot of time in the mountains skiing,
yes.
getting on those slopes, one way or the other. But these guys have played in elevation previously. Nate, you not only played in the NFL, playing in Denver multiple times, but with the USFL.
Yes, sir.
How do you prepare for high elevation whenever you are in the middle of a NFL season like this?
Some kind of way to get a 30% more capacity in your lungs. If you ain't doing that right there, it ain't nothing. Whether it's in the springtime, the USFL, I played with Tampa Bay Bandits, or when the Dallas Cowboys went up there, and plus I had a bum knee, so boy, you talking about waiting to get to the sideline and get that mask, I was just running to that.
Listen, there was 2 times in my life, Kyle, where I needed an oxygen mask.
Okay.
One time when I climbed Kilimanjaro, right? That's at 19,000 feet elevation for those.
I wonder why. Yeah.
And the other time was when I played in Denver, Colorado. We were playing against the Broncos. I had to get some oxygen. I had 2 back-to-back plays in which I had to sprint from 40-plus yards. Your boy was gassed. There is nothing like playing at elevation. It is a real problem. I don't care, Coach Shoddy. Water's not going to get these boys right. Only thing you can do is go out there and have substitutions ready.
So it's not a myth.
No.
Because there's a conversation, at least within inner circles, with not just the Cowboys, but any team that goes to Denver. They say, oh, elevation sickness is a myth. It's all in your head. Whether it's in your head or not, it's going to affect you, Nate, because it's a thing, and multiple teams have to deal with it.
It ain't a thing. It's a living entity, bro. This thing is coming at you for real. In the water, yes, don't listen to him. H2O, drink all you can, and don't do nothing the night before, okay? Out of line, okay?
When it comes to Denver specifically, I know you and I have been a part of some broadcasts out there. You pull into the concourse, the lower level of the stadium. What's the first thing you see whenever you walk up there?
It tells you exactly, was it 5,000, whatever
280.
There you go, 5,200. They have it on all
of it.
It is a real thing, and I promise you, you're accustomed, especially for defensively, right? You're accustomed to what, 10, 11, 12 play drives, right? If you, after the 4th play, you're like trying to figure out what is going on with me that I'm this tired. Like it messes you up mentally, because you know what you're physically capable of, and you cannot produce the same exertion out there until about the second half. Your body adjusts, but that first half, you're gonna feel it.
Get off the football field then. 3 and outs.
Hey, that's a defensive answer to somebody who hasn't played in elevation. Like, just get it done, get off the field, then you don't have to worry about it. Those long play drives, those double-digit drives, that's going to be the downfall for a team playing against the Denver Broncos. Of course, Cowboys getting ready for their matchup in elevation. Let's hear from some of the Cowboys and what they had to say early in the week.
What was it for you to see Overshown back out there with his enthusiasm?
Oh man, I saw him in the past, and I started jumping up and down. Man, I was excited, bro, because I know he's been wanting to be out here. Keeps a smile on his face the whole time, but that boy loves football, and we love having him out there, and he has great energy. Love seeing him fly around. So seeing him, knowing he's on the way back, was exciting.
So how are you feeling after getting back there?
It felt great. It's truly a blessing to be able to play the game of football again. It's one of those things where you don't know how good you have it until it's gone, so just be back out there in football is definitely a little emotional before the game, but I'm glad I was able to go out there and help my team to get a win.
What did they tell you about trying to play in Denver? What you need to do to get ready for that?
Just be prepared for the noise. It's going to be a great environment. They're playing really good football right now, and then just be ready for what they bring on defense. So I'm very excited for the challenge that they present this weekend.
Relax, this is cool. I'm not really surprised, but I feel like the world is. But me, like I said, just going to work every day. That's kind of what I've always been doing. That's why I was kind of shocked myself.
Why the Michigan shoes?
Friend kind of gifted them to me.
A bet with whatever.
Nah, I asked him for it because in college we beat Michigan, like 60-something. You remember that game?
Yeah. Today's trivia question is, who scored the Cowboys' last touchdown in Denver? The answer to today's trivia question is Jason Witten on September 17th, 2017.
Jason Witten is nearly up for final voting in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. That's how long it's been since the Cowboys have had a matchup with the Denver Broncos, only playing on the road every 8 seasons. Dak threw him that touchdown pass. He'll have an opportunity to throw some more today. These guys won't take the field for the Cowboys against the Denver Broncos. Wanye Thomas has been dealing with some chronic migraines over the last few weeks. It hasn't been good for Wanye. We hope the best for him moving forward. Donovan Wilson was expected to be out. Jack Sanborn was added to the injury list today. It was earlier this morning that the media was notified that he would be out for this matchup. He is out. And then Trayvon Diggs earlier in the week placed on the injured reserve list. Let's take a look at what the Broncos are dealing with on their inactive list. You, of course, have that third quarterback out in Sam Ehlinger, the former Texas Longhorn there, and a couple other guys. Their injury list throughout the week was relatively thin. Don't have a ton going on. These guys are mostly healthy, but just inactive for the Denver Broncos. Lots going on. We've got more Cowboys pregame live for you here from the Globe Live studios at the Star in Frisco. Barry Church, Nate Newton, Isaiah Stanback, I'm Kyle Yeomans. We also have a fifth member of our crew, Nicole Hutchison, who had a chance to sit down with Donovan Ezeraku this week following his first sack of his NFL career last week in the win at AT&T Stadium.
Play fake. He's still got it, and he's going to be sacked. He tried to escape the first time. It's Ezeraku who gets his first NFL sack.
When you look back at the film, what stands out about that sack?
First, I wasn't supposed to be in a position that I was in anyway, which is interesting. And I think, I don't know if a lot of people will understand that, but at the same time, it was one of those effort sacks. You know, we sent pressure, and we kept moving, kept straining to go finish, and it kind of like fell into my lap.
I want to get to your story. Obviously, like I said, making a name for yourself on the football field, but what's a part of your story that not many people know about?
I would say this life, I guess, or the National Football League, or before I even knew what football was or was interested, I had my grandfather on my mother's side who passed away a couple years ago. His anniversary's coming up actually. He said, "Go be that great football player." Which was interesting because, nobody had it in mind that I was going to play in the National Football League or even play football at all. But for my first birthday, or that's what he said to the camera, and then, years later, we found it on, one of those big old
VCRs or something?
Yeah, it was one of those. And I think that was just, he kind of ordained it in my life.
I love that because you knew since you were 7 years old that you wanted to play this sport. It took some convincing too for your parents. Growing up in a Nigerian household, you told your parents, "I want to play football, but I'm gonna keep my grades up. I'm gonna go play D1."
My parents, really my mom, it was like, "You're not gonna play football if you don't keep your grades right. You're not gonna go to practice if your chores aren't done or whatever the case may be." And that kind of just instilled that discipline, that characteristic that I had, that, when I want something, I'm going to do whatever I need to do to go and do that. So that's kind of how that went.
Yeah.
And then, as I got older, as they started to see that I take it very, very serious, especially when you're like 10 years old and you got to cut weight to get to, and I'm running around with a trash bag on my body just to cut some weight for some football, Pee-wee Midget League football.
Yeah.
They saw how serious I was about it.
Yeah, and the hard work that you instilled at such a young age kind of translated to the NFL level already. Just kind of talk about that. You came into a room of established guys, right? Dante Fowler, Sam Williams, Marshawn Nealon, all those guys. How did you embrace that challenge of coming in and carving out a role for you?
I think that's just who I am as a person. I've never been the type of person to shy away from competition. It was never, I'm going to go in there, I'm going to be who I am, be myself, I'm going to work hard, put my head down and work. We're going to, chop it up, we're going to talk and get to know me, I'm going to get to know you as well. At the same time, I'm here to work and here to, compete, here to make plays. If I have to take your spot, then that's what I have to do. or we could do this thing together. You could be on the other side and be on this side. We could do it like that.
Remember a while back that you mentioned, like at this level, obviously you can't just win with power. You've got to kind of expand that arsenal a little bit. What's been that process like for you through the first 8 weeks of the season and kind of expanding that?
Yes, I have a bag of pass rush moves, but it's like, okay, knowing when to throw it, knowing when to go power, knowing when you could go inside, knowing, did you set it up in the beginning of the game to, so that in the third or fourth quarter when you really need it on third and long or whatever the case may be, you can, throw that fastball in there to go and make the play. It's just knowing when and which situations to use it.
What would you define as a successful season for you individually?
It's not really about numbers or stats or whatever the case may be. I want to do whatever I need to do to help this team and this defense go win football games.
It's the final weekend of spooky season for the Dallas Cowboys. Those aren't very spooky pumpkins, but you know what I mean whenever it's the final weekend of October. And the Cowboys are hoping that Donovan Ezeraku can show some growth, some improvement, so he could be scary for opposing offensive linemen in the NFL. The development is the number one key for a second-round pick out of Boston College. He had great tape coming out of college. But, Nate, where is he at in terms of his development and what he's bringing to this defensive front?
I like what the young kid said when he said he got to know when to throw the move, when to bring the power move, when to make the spin move. And if he can get through this year and put on about 10 to 15 more pounds of muscle and then put his repertoire and his year of experience to work, you'll see great things from this kid.
Yeah, I'm with you on that, Nate. I think, his development right now is pretty much on par. As a second-round pick, you're supposed to come in here, and if you don't start, you're getting significant reps out there. He struggled a little bit early on, like you said, trying to figure out what pass moves work and which don't, because, college game and an NFL game, it's totally different. But as these past couple weeks have gone on, the guy's getting better and better, and that's what you love to see from your rookie defensive pass rusher.
He's learning the speed of the game. And he learned early on, as you just alluded to, Barry, that these guys at the tackle position are grown men. And when you run into the chest of grown men, they're going to dump truck you into the ground. And they're going to remind you that you're a little boy. And to Nate's point, that, you're going to continue. I mean, that's what it is, right? We've all been baptized as rookies. Everybody has, at whatever position you're at. And that's where he's at. He's 240 pounds, like Nate just said. And he's running into guys who are 315, 320 pounds. And like in college, you can get away with that, right? And seriously, in college, you can get away with that. You can run into guys and you can knock their hands away, get them off your chest. But when you're facing grown men, Nate, dog, if you had a 240-pound cat run into your chest back in your day, what would you do?
Just engulf him.
And Nate was going to try to do something bad to you. So when you went back and watched it on film, you felt some type of way.
That's right.
Can you demonstrate, please?
No, I'm not going to demonstrate.
It's true, though. It is. And there's growth to be had both physically and from a technique standpoint. And I think what you want to see this year, the physicality is not going to come immediately. That's a work in progress. He needs an entire offseason to grow into that. But the technique can happen now.
Yes.
The technique can improve now. That's what you're looking for when you're watching the film from Donovan Ezeraku.
Not only that, but also, are you supposed to be where the play call is designed for you to be at? If you're supposed to have contain or make sure you have that contain on that runner, make sure you force them back to the inside, that's where you need to be. It's not all about numbers and getting tackles for losses and sacks. Yeah, those things are great. But if you can contribute to your defense by doing your job, that's also a big-time step up for a rookie.
Yeah, it really is. And you want to see more growth and more improvement along the way in that area. The playbook, the technique, both of those things can improve starting right now. All right, when we're in Denver, anytime you're in Denver and you have a lethal kicker, he's going to be a storyline throughout the week, not only because of what he can do this week, but how about what Brandon Aubrey has already done with his career? He becomes the first NFL player to ever kick 5 or more 60-plus yard field goals with, of course, the field goal that he had last week in the win against the Washington Commanders. It was a 61-yarder, third longest of his career. Now he gets to play in elevation, Isaiah. Now he gets to play in that thin air, that thin, crisp air of the Colorado, Denver mountains, What is the ceiling for Mr. Brandon Aubrey today?
The ceiling is that the kicker for Denver better have it figured out on these kickoffs, because if he messes around and kicks it out of bounds, and we get it at the 40-yard line, we only got to get 5 yards, and Brandon Aubrey's going to be kicking a field goal. He's going to be in field goal range. because he's going to be able to kick a 70-yarder in these conditions. The ball just flies through the air.
Is he the best kicker you've ever seen?
Yeah.
Duh. That's what that sounded like. What do you think?
I'm with you on that. I mean, for him to be as accurate as he is from those distances are just unimaginable. I mean, the only thing missing is one of those, signature kicks in the playoffs to get them over the hump or to get them to the Super Bowl, something like that. But other than that, I mean, this dude he's unbelievable kicking the football.
I mean, this guy's tied a game and won a game in the same game. He's special.
Yeah. Like all jokes aside, regardless of where Dallas gets the ball, you kick the ball to Turpin, 1.5, 2 first downs, you're in field goal range.
Yeah.
Like that is such a weapon in Denver because of his ability, not only just to be able to kick it that far. We've had kickers to be able to boot it that far, Janikowski and guys along the way, but they were never able to have that boot and accuracy. Yeah.
When we're in the building and we're watching this happen live, I equate it to watching a historic home run hitter in baseball. Guys that have 400, 500 plus home runs throughout their career, when you know that when they take the plate, something special can happen. Any given time. Now, it's a little different because Aubrey knows the distance that he's kicking from when he steps up, but he does something that you've never seen before with a football, and that's what he does consistently, and it's really a weapon for this Cowboys team moving forward. Now, Dak Prescott and this offense don't want to leave it up to a 70-yard field goal from Brandon Aubrey every time, but it's a weapon when you can utilize it. Of course, Dak Prescott with an opportunity to continue moving in the right direction, and he could start by getting his first win against Denver today.
It's what you play the game for, regardless if we were both first or not. It's what you play the game for. Elite competition, as I said, an amazing environment where the fans are going to be loud. Our communication is going to be tested, the nonverbal part of it. Super excited. It'll be a great one. I mean, they're a good team. I mean, obviously, we're talking about the pass rush, right? You still got to throw the ball on first and second down, and they're doing a good job of pushing the pocket and playing physical outside. So they're just making it all grimy. I mean, and so we've got to go in this game expecting to do just that, win dirty, no matter what it takes and whatever we have to do, and run into some tight boxes, right? But we got to make our plays outside when they give us one-on-one, and put ourselves in some of those third and manageable, right? Shorter than 3rd and 7, and we'll have the upper hand. I mean, every win builds confidence. I think more importantly for us right now, it's about getting a streak going. It's about winning a couple in a row and a few in a row, but right, you can't win. You can't start it if you don't win this one right here, the second one. So it's not necessarily about who they are; it's about who we are. Our standard, our expectations, us knowing that we can go out there and start this streak, and this is our opportunity.
Dak Prescott has not particularly played well against the Broncos throughout his career, 0-2, and 2 of probably one of his more notable losses throughout his career. Here's what he's done throughout the 2025 regular season, though. Take a look at what he's done down the field, especially down that left-hand side. You can equate that to George Pickens. And then the right side of the formation, that 107 and that 123, that's back behind the line of scrimmage. That's a lot of tight ends and running backs that are utilized in the fold. Most notably, Jake Ferguson, who has 51 receptions on the season, much to the excitement of Nate Newton and Isaiah Stanback.
That is Dak Prescott's favorite side to boot out to. He likes to boot out to the right. That's why you see that 129 right there, or the 123, whatever it was.
Not the same success, at least in terms of the passer rating in 2025 for Bo Nix, but Nix has had a really good start to his season, 11 touchdowns, just 4 interceptions, and over 1,500 yards passing. The thing about Bo Nix is he could throw it to a number of guys. Cortland Sutton, top 10 in the league entering the week whenever it comes to wide receiving yards on the season. And then there are multiple other guys that they can throw to. Marvin Mims, Evan Ingram. There are weapons on the Broncos side as well. Back with Isaiah Stanback, Barry Church, Nate Newton. Welcoming Nicole Hutchison officially to the show. Great job on the Donovan Azaraku package, by the way.
I appreciate y'all.
A lot of fun hearing from him throughout. But what are opponents, defenses looking for the most whenever they go up against Dak Prescott right now?
It's got to be a mismatch nightmare when you're talking about for the defensive coordinators out there, because, styles make fights. And when you got an offense like the Dallas Cowboys, you can run the football, you can pass the football, and usually defensive player or defensive coaches out there, they're looking to take one of those away from you. So if you take Javonte Williams away, you still got those beasts on the outside, CeeDee Lamb, you got Fergie, all those guys. if you try to play coverage against them, you got Javonte Williams running the football. So right now, it's just a mismatch nightmare for coordinators to try to defend this offense.
Yeah, for me, it's the fact that you can't throw anything at him that Dak Prescott can't handle. I mean, you talk about versus the blitz. I looked at the numbers against the Jets. He had 3 passing touchdowns against the blitz. That was the first game since 2021 that he did have at least 3 passing touchdowns since then. But then you talk about against the Giants. Hello, 13 of 19 for 149 yards and a touchdown against the blitz. He only took 1 sack of 20 blitz, excuse me. So, I mean, you talk about Dak against pressure, you can throw anything at him, and this is one of the most pressuring teams as well. Dak can handle it.
Dak can handle it. I'd say the next best team in terms of pass rushing ability was the New York Giants. You just touched on those stats. However, they did not have the DBs that Denver has. So the ability to pass rush with 4 guys and maintain your coverage, that will be the challenge for Dak today. Can he sit in there under duress while his receivers still have guys in their hip pocket?
You ever been to a shade tree mechanic? Where he had just put things together and make it work. And then you go to like a Ford house where they got real mechanics with real tools. That's what Dak got, baby. And that's what makes him scary.
So he doesn't go to the hood mechanic.
No, not the hood, bro.
He ain't messing with it.
You know, honestly, knowing Dak, he's going to be the one that fixes it himself. He's going to be in the garage himself trying to making it happen in his own right. They're going to have to try and fix what they've done on the road throughout their campaign. Here's what the Cowboys have done against Denver throughout. They have not won in Denver since 1992, and they haven't defeated the Broncos, period, since 1995. You remember that game, Nate?
Yeah. It was a game I had a bad knee and a short lung, but we got through it.
A short lung?
Yeah, that means I was burning.
Did you play?
Yeah, I played.
In the elevation?
In the elevation.
Oh.
Yeah, man. Okay. Didn't make the next game, but I made that one.
They don't make them like Nate.
Out here burning, though.
Would you have played in that regard?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you got to.
Absolutely. Either you gonna play, somebody gonna take your job.
That's Is it an easy fix for Dallas to figure out what they've done wrong on the road and kind of trying to piece together a win streak for the first time under Brian Schottenheimer, trying to pin back-to-back wins together?
It's the offensive line. If the offensive line is dominant, you've talked about it, Isaiah, with that pass rush. If the offensive line is dominant and you have a run game, you have a chance to beat Denver up there.
Yeah, mine is execute offensively, of course, play complementary defense. Balance. We like the word balance a lot. I mean, this is a team that you got to just come out, play fast, be aggressive as well. And you look at the losses on the road, I mean, they have not done that. You're playing at home. You're playing a little bit more loose and confident. Obviously, you got to switch that and translate that over into Denver.
It's an easy fix if you can run the ball, as my big Nate Dogg has stated many times, and you can get some pressure on a QB and force some turnovers. That takes the crowd out of it, and it puts the favor in your pocket.
Yeah, I'm going with what you said on your second option. I mean, the offense right now, they're all cylinders. They're balling right now. But if you can affect the quarterback, if you can get after Bo Nix out there and force some turnovers to get the ball back to your offense, that gives you the best chance to win this game. If you let Bo Nix sit back there, he's going to dissect your defense out there. With Sutton and those boys, they got receivers out there. So for me, defensively, you got to make things hard for Bo Nix.
So a lot of that is the keys to having success on the road. What's your bold prediction today, Barry, as we wrap up on Cowboys pregame live?
My bold
We got to go quick.
Oh, real quick.
Yeah, we got to go quick.
George Pickens. All right, he's going to be matched up against Surtain. I'm saying George Pickens goes for 120 yards, 1 touchdown.
120? What you got, Isaiah?
Oh, I'm going with the big juggernaut, okay? Juggernaut going to be in the backfield. He going for 123 yards and 2 tutties. That's right.
Hey, what's his superpower again?
Yeah, just like that. Just like that.
Superpower.
Hey, I'm going this offense scores 40 points. I'm being bold. They're scoring 40 points against this Denver Broncos.
40 burger?
On Denver?
Wow.
Said bold.
Okay.
I like
Jake Ferguson, I love you. I need an 8-yard average.
Hey!
Oh, okay.
That might be the boldest.
That is bold. That's bold.
That might be the boldest of the bunch.
We don't bet here, though.
No, we don't.
Denver, Colorado, the Cowboys looking for their first win in over 30 years in the Mile High City. That's going to do it for us on Cowboys Pregame Live. We'll see you after the game for the first word presented by Dr. Pepper. For Nicole, Isaiah, Nate, Barry, I'm Kyle Yeomans. Thanks for watching. Go Cowboys taking on the Broncos.